Welcome to the Sustainable Proximity module of our training course. In these 3 lectures, we will discuss in detail the concept of proximity tourism and will show you why proximity tourism could be one of the best ways to ensure the sustainability of your tourism enterprise. First, we will take a look at the impact tourism has on the environment and the sustainable practices a tourism business can apply to reduce consumption and pollution. In the second video, we will explain why proximity tourism is a sustainable alternative to traditional tourism on environmental, financial and social level. In the third and last lecture, you will learn about the possible strategies and actions to consider when developing your proximity tourism services. Let's begin. The impact of tourism on the environment. The tourism industry is growing fast and has a significant effect on our economic development, but also on the environment. The more tourists visit an area, the higher is the pressure on the capacity of that environment. The negative impacts of unsustainable tourism development can gradually destroy the natural resources on which it depends. The negative impact of tourism can vary a lot depending on the specific destination. Still, the main negative impacts include resource overconsumption, degradation, pollution, and the disruption of wildlife. Overconsumption and degradation. Tourism increases the direct consumption of water, energy, food and fuel in a given geographic area. It also has an indirect impact on the use of land for food production and infrastructure development, such as roads, hotels and camps. Water. The tourism industry generally overuses water resources for accommodation, laundry, cooking, personal use of water by tourists, operation of spas and swimming pools. This can result in water shortages and degradation of water supplies, as well as generating a greater volume of wastewater. Energy and fuel. More tourists require more energy for heating, hot water, lighting, appliances, cooking and transportation. During peak seasons, often high demand is placed upon the resources to meet the high expectations of tourists. Use of land. The provision of tourist facilities involves use of land for accommodation and other infrastructure. Forest resources are vulnerable to deforestation for fuel, construction materials, and land clearing. Tourism increases the demand for food, and poor farming practices for higher production can lead to depletion of soil nutrients. Ecosystems. Tourism often disturbs the delicate balance of ecosystems when accommodations and resorts are built very close to the beach or inside the core areas of forests. Tourist trails and wildlife attractions increase the number of tourists intruding into the natural areas and can cause damage to the species living there. Pollution. Tourism can cause the same forms of pollution as any other industry: air emissions, noise, solid waste and littering, release of sewage, oil and chemicals, even architectural visual pollution. Transportation. Transport by air, road and rail is continuously increasing. The rising number of tourists now accounts for nearly 60% of air travel. Emissions from transport are one of the main causes of greenhouse gas air pollution. Solid waste and littering. Waste disposal can be a serious problem in areas with high concentrations of tourist activities. Improper disposal can pollute and spoil the landscape. It can also cause damage to the local wildlife. Sewage. Tourist facilities like hotels, cafes, restaurants, etc. in an area without proper arrangement for safe disposal of sewage can lead to severe consequences. Wastewater carrying sewage from such areas often pollutes nearby water bodies. Sustainable practices in tourism. Tourism has the capacity to help support communities without negative effects on the environment when done with the right approach towards the long-term sustainability. Ecotourism and sustainable tourism have gained popularity in the industry in the last years, yet there are many areas where improvements need to be done. For many remote and rural communities, tourism is the only opportunity of generating sufficient income to sustain their lifestyle and traditions. It can bring lots of good to economy, but also the degradation of the environment, extinction of species and depletion of resources, if it's not done in a sustainable manner. Let's take a look at some of the main sustainable practices that tourism SMEs can apply. Being informed. Knowing the environmental impact of the tourism facility and services that you provide. Stay informed about environmental legislation, financial incentives, and green subsidies. Introducing sustainability practices in the management strategy of the tourism facility. Minimizing the use and maximizing the efficiency of energy and water consumption. Policy for energy saving by the employees and by the tourists using renewable energy sources such as solar panels for hot water and electricity, thermal and hydro insulation of buildings, energy saving electric bulbs and appliances, movement detectors and key cards for controlling light, clean towels only on request, electric vehicles, sustainable forms of transport, energy-efficient architecture. Managing waste, sewage, recycling and composting, selective waste collection, composting, reduction of waste, education of employees and tourists about waste reduction and waste management, safe disposal of sewage. Using local resources. Buying food and other supplies locally, farming and producing own food, creating a community of producers and a network of local service providers to be used by tourism SMEs, community gardening or food cooperatives. Food from sustainable agriculture, using organic biofood, knowing the biofood practices and sources, buying or producing food from sustainable agriculture, practicing organic farming, including from farm to fork strategy, creating community and network of organic producers to be accessible for tourism SMEs, participating in the community of organic gardening and food cooperatives. Environmental education for tourists and employees, including environmentally friendly tourism activities, informing and training employees about tourism sustainability, educating tourists about environmental awareness, promoting environmentally friendly activities. Nature and biodiversity conservation, knowledge and appreciation of local nature conservation practices, knowing the impact of tourism activities on nature and biodiversity, introducing nature and biodiversity-friendly tourism activities and services, informing tourists about conservation and nature-friendly behavior, promoting ecotourism, and knowing about visiting regulations for protected areas. Another important sustainable tourism practice is what we call proximity tourism. Proximity tourism refers to a form of tourism that emphasizes local destinations and short distances. It aims to rediscover the places nearby, those that, precisely because they are too close and familiar, are not considered as possible destinations for holidays or weekends off. If you would like to learn why proximity tourism is a sustainable alternative to traditional long-distance tourism, not only environmentally, but also financially, please join us in the next video.